14, and Tim's high triple is 515. He bowls at and owns Lakeside Lanes in Manchester.
We always look forward to it. Let's get right to it. It's the mixed doubles competition. We're coming back with our first match at Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes right after this.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire.
All right, we're ready to go with our mixed doubles competition, and you will look at the ladder and the pairings for the next 4 weeks. We have 5 teams of bowlers. Our first matchup this afternoon, Bob Caliri and Cyndi Cawley, and taking on Tim Lipke and Colleen Montplasir. And Bob Caliri will be first to bowl, and we're ready to get underway with mixed doubles bowling at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Six drop for Mr. Caliri right off the bat, leaving a cluster of 3 on the left-hand side with some wood on the deck and the 10-pin by itself on the right.
And he played the wood nicely, but he left the 4-pin on the left side. Bob's no stranger to television bowling. Been on WNDS 11 times, on the old Channel 5 show 4 times. Starts out with a 9 box. A warehouse traffic manager for Hub Delivery in Wilmington.
He's actually very fortunate to be here. He is an alternate because Steve Plant, who legitimately qualified in the number 5 position, unable to be here today. So we went to the number 6 spot, which was owned by Bob Caliri. So here he is.
And he had a 657 in the roll-off. And he punches right through. And his partner Cyndi Cawley had a 599 for their total of 1256. And he has an 8 box.
Might explain how the routine works here. In the first string, the men in each duo will bowl the first 2, the middle 2, and the last 2 boxes for a total of 6. The women will bowl in the 3rd and 4th and 7th and 8th frames for 4. Next string, the women will begin, and they'll get 6 boxes. The men will get 4. In the 3rd string, we let the bowlers decide amongst themselves if they want the men to start or the female partner to start. So it's structured for the first 2, and then it's up to them for the last.
And veteran Tim Lipke from Londonderry. Another veteran of TV bowling. Starts off with a 10. He's been on WNDS 18 times, on the Channel 5 show 14 times.
He was on just a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact. 2 weeks ago.
He and his wife Wendy are the operators of Lakeside Lanes in Manchester. Bowling is his life, and the strike is in the 2nd box. The picket fence stumbled down. We'll watch it go one more time. And there they go in slow motion. And now our first look at Cyndi Cawley and her first time on television. Right on the head pin. What a way to begin. A 9-pin drop.
No butterflies there, or if there are, you'd never know it. Thrown very confidently and crisply.
And she'll play the wood and take the spare.
Nothing wrong with that. Although I suspect she wanted to go more directly at it, but her first...
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
It goes in the books as a spare.
That's right. We'll have to read her, watch the movie someday. The Cyndi Cawley story.
Off the head pin, she'll take a 1 in the spare. Cyndi's a meat wrapper at Demula's Market Basket. She and her husband Steve have been married 13 years. And a 9 box. And she has 3 children, Erica, Amanda, and Trish.
She has the distinction of doing something that nobody has ever done in the history of Candlepin bowling as a professional. I'll tell you what that is next time she steps up to the lanes.
I can hardly wait. Here's Colleen Montplasir from Manchester. She's been on WNDS a couple of times in the past. She's a computer specialist for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, has been for 22 years. And as a newlywed, she and Mark were married in September of the year 2000. takes an 8-box. Average is 118, a high single of 175, a high triple of 463. Bowls out of Park Place in Wyndham. She's been bowling since she was 9 years old. And she has a daughter, Kelly. And an 8-box.
All right, what is it? Oh, she's not up yet. Getting excited to tell you what Cyndi's done that nobody else has.
Hold the thought. Here's Bob Caliri.
Bob bowl first.
For the second time. Right on the head pin. Can't bust up the split. Bob's a real sports nut. He follows major sports, pro and college football, baseball, and basketball.
And he's got a new, very expensive Boston Red Sox player to root for, huh?
As you're watching this, that's kind of old news now with the signing of Manny Ramirez.
But nevertheless, a Christmas gift for Boston Red Sox fans to the tune of, what, $160 million.
I wonder if you can get by on that.
Well, have you seen the real estate prices lately around Boston? I don't know. Talking, of course, about Manny Ramirez.
Bob averages 121. Has a high of 208 and a nice spare there. Second mark of the first ring. We'll watch it again. Played it perfectly and took advantage of the wood. Now Tim Lipke, who averages 126. Ironically, we mentioned that Tim is the owner-operator of Lakeside Lanes in Manchester. His high single at 214 was bowled at Park Place in Wyndham. Look at that shot by Tim Lipke. He almost pulled it off.
Nothing but the 4-pin between him and a 10-box here in the 5th frame. What's a close match here early on?
The winner of the match climbs the ladder to take on number 3 seeded team of Tony Wellspring and Sean Baker.
A little bit wide on that shot to the right, leaving the 4 horsemen left and the 8-pin in the back. No wood on the deck, so he'll go right between the 1 and the 3, hoping to take out that back pin.
Just picked the head pin off. Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV is presented by the Thompson family of dealerships. McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Hyundai, Nashua Mitsubishi, and Nashua Daewoo. All located in the New England Automotive Village on the Daniel Webster Highway in Nashua.
Cyndi Cawley steps up to lane 34 as the only bowler ever to achieve the distinction of being Pro Bowler of the Year and Rookie of the Year. In other words, her first year in WCBC action in 94-95, she not only was the best, but she was the best of the newest.
Look at that for a spare after a half Worcester. She picked it up. After putting 2 in the spare, she picks up another spare. Great shot by Cyndi, and now putting 4 or 5. It'll make a 5 in the spare. So 3 marks that they've had in the string have been filled with a 1, a 2, and a 5.
That was the 4 horsemen with the 5-pin, and she picks out the 2-pin, leaving 4 for the final shot.
And a 7-box. 80 through 8 for the team of Cyndi Cawley and Bob Caliri. That's with 3 marks.
Runner-up team today wins $200. They'll split that, of course. And at the end of it all, top of the ladder, a $1,000 prize awaiting the winning tandem. That was rather flush hit. I'm surprised she got as good a pinfall as she did, leaving just the 4-pin with some wood, almost touching.
Spare for Colleen. She has a 118 average, a high single of 175, a high triple of 463. And that one got away from her, but she will end up with 4 in the spare. Almost got it.
Look good. 5-pin refuses to fall.
And a 9-box. A 7-pin lead for Colleen and Tim over Cyndi and Bob, with 2 boxes remaining in the first string. Well, a lot of action off the sidewall for Bob Caliri that time. The 1, the 9, and the 10 are still standing with some wood that could be beneficial. Got to get the head pin. Doesn't pick up the head pin, and therefore does not convert the spare. And a 9-box for Bob Caliri. 89 through 9. They'll need a mark for 100.
Actually, we mentioned that Bob kind of backed into this because of Steve Plant's inability to be here today. He also tied another bowler at 657 for the 6th position. So what happened is Bob Caliri advanced because he had the highest single between the 2 men, both John Zappi and Bob Caliri. So Caliri's here today, Zappi out.
That time he missed the 4 horsemen on the left side, threw it wide of the head pin. They're at 95. 98 first string for the team of Cyndi Cawley and Bob Caliri. Now Tim Lipke to finish up the first string for the team of Lipke and Montplasir. Again off the head pin, leaving the 4 horsemen on the left side.
The way the pairings were decided, the top 5 men bowled with the top 5 women. Simple as that. Got a lot of that going on today, Dick. A lot of wood chopping.
Box for Lipke. 97 through 9. During the next string, we'll get to read some of the cards and letters we received from you during the course of the past several weeks.
Mailman has been good to us, has he? Tim Lipke bowled 2 weeks ago, lost to Ed Woodside. It was Tim's 3rd week in a row on Stars and Strikes. Was beaten 395 to 354.
Tim with a spare in the 10th box. 107 plus a ball.
And I understand, Mr. Lutzk, that your representative and my representative have come to an agreed date on which we will have our grudge match, our rematch. We'll tell you more about that a little later on. The date is set.
7 in the spare. 114 first string. Colleen and Tim have the lead as we go to string number 2 of our mixed doubles match. We come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire right after this on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Ready to go, string number 2. And Cyndi Cawley will be first to bowl.
There's a 5 drop. 1, 2, 5, 9, and 10. Gave it a good shot. 5 and 9 are still there at the center of the lane, and she'll take them down. Pro Bowler and Rookie of the Year all at one time, 1994-95. Cyndi Cawley from Massachusetts. Franklin does her bowling at Fico's. Been there. Nice bowling center.
Nice shot. Picked up the spare. Watch it one more time.
Oddly enough, the ball took out the 10 pin instead of the deadwood.
Ball hit off the side wall,
Yep.
and clipped it going by.
That gives her team a much needed boost after losing the first string by 16 pins.
Colleen Montplasir from Manchester. Actually, she's bowling against Bob Caliri. Bob is her partner in league bowling.
I don't remember their names, but last year we had brothers and sisters bowling against each other as opposed to teammates in the doubles.
Now she takes the 3 on the left.
Six and 10 there with some wood kind of wedged in between the two. And that's all she took out. And
that would take some doing, wouldn't it?
You couldn't do that again if you tried. Another one of the funny oddities about Candlepin bowling that you don't see in the other versions of our great game. Well, it's the spread eagle minus the 7 pin with no wood on the deck for Colleen Montplasir, averaging 118. Nice try.
You do the play-by-play. I'm going to look up last year's mixed doubles and find out. I got all that information here somewhere.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to bring back some of that information. Talk about the teams that we saw last year. I don't think we have any repeat bowlers this year. We did from last year. I think it's all different people. As Bob Caliri steps up on lane 34. Nice mixing action. The 7 pin stands all by itself for a 9 fill on their second frame spare.
Last year we had Rich Hallberg and Deb DeRozier defeat Dave Richards and Joanne Rosano in the first match. In the second match it was Paul St. Pierre and Deb Bradford beating Hallberg and DeRozier. In the third match it was Dave Comey and Nancy Vestal beating Paul St. Pierre and Deb Bradford. And in the championship match it was Dave Comey and Nancy Vestal over Dave Hidge and Deb Regan in the championship match.
I think Deb is in the audience today, and I think I saw Rich Hallberg as well. So
I did.
They're here, but not bowling, unfortunately, this year. Didn't make the cut. There's another single pin miss for Bob Caliri. That's 2 in a row for him. 7 pin last time, the 6 pin this time, missing it to the right. Our scorekeeper today in-house is Paul Willett, doing a great job for those in the bowling center who aren't able to see the monitors as you are able to at home. And the bowlers can keep an eye on the score as well by looking at his fine handiwork.
The 5, the 6, the 9, and the 10 still standing for Tim Lipke.
Takes a little luck to get this one.
Like this, here it goes. Oh, the pin rolled right in front of the 5 pin. I thought it was going to take it.
I should mention that Tim Lipke is the president of the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association, which is a group of bowling center owners and various other people with interests in the Candlepin game. And congratulations to the NHCBA bowling centers and the U.S. Marine Corps. Once again, their Toys for Tots campaign brought in thousands of toys, and for those that did bring in toys for the Tots, they received a string of bowling at the participating NHCBA centers. So thank you to everybody This is a little bit late, I realize, as you watch this on the first airing on Christmas Eve, but the Marines and the Bowling Proprietors of New Hampshire, again, helping make Christmas a little bit brighter for a lot of the kids. And Timmy, as you watch him bowl, is the president of the NHCBA. So good job, guys and gals.
And an 8-box for Tim, 35 through 4 as we go to the break. A tight match here, a 3-pin lead in the match for the team of Colleen Montplasir and Tim Lipke. We're coming back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire with Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS-TV. As we continue reaching our first mixed doubles match of this season, first of 4 mixed doubles matches you will see on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. At the line, Cyndi Cawley. One of the interesting notes on Cyndi is that back in 1981 she was on Candlepins for Cash with my good friend Bob Gamir. Do you remember that show?
I wasn't living here at the time.
What a great show.
But I've heard so much about it.
It was cultish. It really was a cultish type of a show where Bob took people who literally were not professional bowlers at the time. I mean, they were just bowling fans and people who came to bowling alleys. And
did they bowl one frame?
They bowled a frame, and he interviewed them all, and they brought their friends with them, and they introduced their friends on TV. It was a riot. It was a real scream.
It sounds like the equivalent of what we had in Detroit at the time called Bowling for Dollars.
That's the same thing. It had to be the same thing. Candlepins for Cash.
Yeah. Bring all your pals.
Yep.
Do it as a goof.
It was a goof. That's what it was. Oh, she just missed the spin.
Now, she was totally robbed on that shot.
And Gamir did a great job with it, and it was on for several years. And
cult following. That's a good way to put it.
It had a cult following. It really did.
So what would happen if you brought that show back?
I think it would fly. I really do. I think it would do well. I think it would develop a cult following again and be very successful.
There's some interesting variations of bowling now on ESPN from time to time. Actually, I think I saw this on the Nashville Network, where they have colleges competing, and they have the college students doing goofy things like leaving the string to split, combinations and, bowling with your other hand, kind of from some of the rock and bowl games that you see on Saturday night at various bowling centers. So.
Speaking of ESPN, one of the national sponsors of bowling on ESPN, the Dexter Shoe Company, just joined Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS-TV, is one of our sponsors. Of course, Dexter Shoe, one of the preeminent manufacturers of bowling shoes in the nation. There are only a couple of them, or maybe a handful of bowling shoe names in the country, and Dexter is probably one of the top, if not the top, manufacturer and distributor of bowling shoes in the nation. And we're happy to have Dexter Shoes with us on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And you'll hear more about that in weeks ahead. I promise you that.
Yeah, we haven't given any bowling bonus money.
No bonus money. Three strikes. And what's the triple strike jackpot at?
$800.
9 bucks for Colleen. $800 for 3 strikes in a row. Of course, $50 for 3 marks in a row. $25 for each successive mark. And the Tournament of Champions, of course, at the end of our regular season, we have 3 who have qualified so far.
They are Gary Carrington up top at 414, the same position he was in 3 years ago when he went on to win it all. Gary Santora at 403, he won last week. And Mike Morgan at 397. We're going to see Mike's brother Tom 3 weeks from today. He's in the top seed in the doubles competition.
That's a 10 box for Bob Caliri. Marks are hard to come by in the second string. 1 mark thus far. It belongs to Cyndi Cawley.
And she had a couple others that looked pretty good that she got robbed on. Boy, Timmy's left more of these spread eagle variations today. This time missing only the 2-pin. I'm sorry, Bob Caliri.
I knew what you meant. $10 for Bob.
I hope I didn't jinx Tim by suggesting the spread eagle. He's had a couple of them today, or at least 5 out of the 6. Almost converted one last string. Well, there you go. That's 2/3 of a spread eagle. Missing only the 3 and the 7 this time. A lot of punch outs today. A lot of chops on the spare combinations.
Got a note from Ken DeVoe of North Andover, Massachusetts, Michael, who asks why Candlepin Stars and Strikes moved to Leda Lanes 4 years ago. And it's a long story, Ken, but we'll give you the short version of it. That the show was interrupted for a while because of a station sale at WNDS, and when it came time to come back on, Ray Simino at Leda Lanes stepped to the front and said, I'll take it. And he's done everything you could ask a bowling proprietor to do. He's been terrific, and things have worked out extremely well at Leda Lanes, and had a great relationship with Park Place and Wyndham. And things just happened to work out the way they did, and we're at Leda Lanes and happy to be here, and really appreciate the hospitality that Ray Simino and Sean Howard and his staff provide every week.
Nick Muskilly at Park Place Lanes and his crew did a fabulous job for the many years that the show was broadcast there.
The spare for Tim.
The improvements made here so that we can accommodate more viewers every time we tape is Ray Simino has put up bleachers. He's added television monitors for those that aren't sitting directly behind the bowlers in the position that we're able to enjoy. And the donuts, about 9,000 dozen donuts are brought in every time we tape for everybody to enjoy.
Nice spare by Cyndi Cawley, her second mark of the string. She's really found the range.
She's probably been the most accurate bowler of our 4 today so far.
Now filling the spare. On the head pin a little full. Can she break up the split? Yes. So she'll put 7 in the spare. And the wood is angled pretty well if she chooses to go that route. She's not gonna. She's going right at it. Missed it. She's at 114. And that's where she'll finish at 114 for the second string and a 2-string total of 212. Now Colleen Montplasir will fill Tim Lipke's spare. She'll fill it with 7. Should give her 7.5, but you can't do that.
Now she'll want to hit that 2-pin dead on. Hope for the best.
Missed it. Oh. Just missed it to the right.
Had the pin on spin on spot, she might have had it, but it had moved off to the left by 3-4 inches.
And that'll be a 7 box. 88. She's going to need a spare to get 100. We're going to have a very tight match going to the third string.
She gets a 10. It's all even after 2 matches. There's a triangle on the left side, 2-4-5. No wood. Clean shot.
Not able to convert. She is at 96. '97 second string for Colleen and Tim. A 1-pin lead in the match for Cyndi and Bob over Colleen and Tim as we go to the third and final string of our first mixed doubles match on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We're coming back to Leda Lanes right after this. Ready to go third string, and the teams had their choice as to who would lead off in the third string, and both teams decided to go with the men. Bob Caliri will bowl first for the team of Caliri and Cyndi Cawley, and Tim Lipke will bowl first for the team of Tim Lipke and Colleen Montplasir. Bob Caliri had one get away from him. be a 10 box for Bob Caliri. A very tight match. 1 pin separating the two teams after 2 strings.
Bob Caliri bowling at Park Place Lanes a couple nights a week, and he also bowls in various centers on a traveling pro league. His teammates include Rich Hallberg, who's in attendance today, Don Richmond, John Zappi, who he beat out in a one-game roll-off that was actually decided by higher pinfall, I should say, and Dan Lasko. So that's a pretty potent team. Although Bob having his difficulties today.
And that will be a 9 box, so he opens up with a 19.
So Tim Lipke steps to the line on lane 34 for his first toss and leaves the side saddle triangle, as it's called, the 3, 6, and the 9.
The side saddle triangle. Well, that's why they call it that. It leaves the sleeper pin behind. Tim does not convert the spare. And a 10 box. Winifred DeRocco of Gloucester writes, Mike. No, she writes in Lowell, actually, but she also writes that we listen to this show every week and hasn't heard us read a letter from anyone in Gloucester. Up until the mid-50s, they had 3 alleys in Gloucester. One was the Riverdale. One was in the Riverdale section. 2 were in the city. The Riverdale alley was the Willows, and the city ones were the Elm Street alleys and in the basement of the YMCA. And also, she doesn't know about the rest of the places around, but they didn't need bowling shoes, just a pair with a good leather sole. Well, nowadays, you need good bowling shoes, and might I suggest Dexter shoes?
I knew you were going there. There were lots of places, YMCAs and churches and social halls, that had a couple of bowling lanes, just to show you how popular the game was compared to today. Not quite the intensity. Lots of other activities diluting the recreation industry's interest. We're doing our best to keep it alive here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Cyndi has the 2 and the 7 with some wood out front, which is certainly a factor. Actually, she's played it without the wood and almost made the shot.
She'll have to use the wood, though, to get the 7 pin here. No choice.
And she'll take the 7 for a 10 box. Pinning very important in a close match like this.
1 pin separating our 2 bowling teams. Mixed doubles this week and the next 3.
Right on the head pin. Cyndi Cawley with the strike.
She has been the best bowler today. Has the most marks, I think. Nice.
Colleen responds with a good head pin shot, a pocket shot, and some wood on the deck. The 2 and the 10. She really has to cut that 2 pin over, though.
It's the only choice.
Not gonna make it.
So 10 for Colleen and Tim. Find themselves trailing now, but still not by very much. Shame the 10 pin didn't go. 2, 4, 5 and the 10 with some inconsequential wood behind the 4 pin. How did that stay up, Dick? 2, 4, 5 went down. Everything shifted over to the right, and the 10 pin is still standing.
We go to the break. Very tight match. The team of Cawley and Caliri working on a strike. When we come back, heading down the home stretch, Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues from Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS-TV. Far, another ball to go.
Time for the men to redeem themselves. The women have been carrying things here today.
Well, Bob almost pulled off the spare. He puts 9 in the strike. It's a 9-pin lead. And a 10 box. What are you doing for lunch today? How about heading over to Pizza Hut on Amherst Street in Nashua, just down the street from Leda Lanes, 313 Amherst Street. They have a terrific luncheon buffet every Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 1. Includes a salad bar, includes breadsticks, includes desserts, several different varieties of pizza. We love it. We're headed there today. Pizza Hut, 313 Amherst Street in Nashua for the luncheon buffet Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 9 box for Bob. Tim Lipke has some work to do.
Tim's been rather quiet today. Lots of punch outs. A couple marks though brings this match back to even, as Cynthia and Bob lead by a small margin.
Now Tim's right on the head pin there, and there's the strike. Responding like the veteran he is. Watch the 5-pin, the last to go, gets tripped up by a piece of spinning wood. The 5 still stands, and there's the wood kicking it out.
Amazing how just one strike brings the crowd alive and back into the match.
Now Lipke on the head pin, a little full.
Another punch out. Tim Lipke has 8 Pro Tour titles. There are only 3 men ahead of him. They are Tom Olsta, Peter Flynn, and Craig Holbrook. And Craig Holbrook is here today, I noticed, watching the action.
Put 7 in the strike.
He's also been the Pro Bowler of the Year 4 times. Only one man has done that more. That's, of course, Tom Olsta, who's done it 5. Great credentials. One of the best in the game, Tim Lipke.
2 pins, the lead in the string. 3 pins, the lead in the match for the team of Cyndi Cawley and Bob Caliri over Tim Lipke and Colleen Montplasir. And Cyndi Cawley to bowl. Well, almost broke up the split, almost had a spread eagle, and then is left with 3 on the right and the 1 on the left. So pick one.
Cyndi has one WCBC Tour victory, and she also holds the record for 25 strings, one of the categories that WCBC acknowledges. She did that in 94-95, 3104 total for 25 games. That is a record.
Right on the head pin.
She was rated number 11, Dick, in the WCBC last year, 1999 and 2000. So
big shot here. Spare opportunity for Cyndi Cawley. Very tight match. The 4 and the 7. There's a piece of wood angled, but it's quite a bit away from the pins. See how she plays it. Going right at it. Got it. Big spare for Cyndi Cawley. Very clutch. And now it's Colleen needing to respond.
Only mark for Montplasir and Lipke is the 5th frame strike that Tim threw just a moment ago.
There's Colleen on the head pin, leaving the 7-pin. The wood comes out there and angles itself out there. It's actually in pretty good shape for her right now.
It's resting up against the lip of the wooden part of the lane just prior to the metal plate. That's how it kind of shifted around to be perpendicular to the pin.
That'll do it. The spare for Colleen. Big spare for her.
Not a high scoring, but a great match coming right down to the last couple of frames. The losing team today goes away with $200 in cash.
Working on the spare. Missed the head pin. Puts just 4 in the spare.
Not an easy one. Cluster of 4 on the right, 4 in the 7 in the left-hand corner.
Gave it a shot. and a 9 box for Colleen. All depends on what Bob Caliri puts in the spare right now. That'll determine what we have going in the final 2 frames. He puts 1 in the spare. How about that?
That pretty much wipes out the effectiveness of the 8th frame spare that Cynthia put up there.
Quarter Worcester in the spare really hurts. That'll be a 9 box. He's going to need a mark. On the head pin. Oh, will not break up the split. Did you see how far that pin danced? That pin moved 3 inches.
How do you shoot this one?
Right, so just the way he did. I would have done the same thing. Take your shot right down the center and see if you can split up the wood.
They went straight back.
Well, now it's up to Tim Lipke. That'll be a 10 box. Well, 18 pins is what Tim needs to tie, 19 to win in 2 frames.
We could conceivably have a tie match, at which point we're both 2 frames. It's only happened once or twice over the last couple seasons.
Well, Tim leaves a split.
Very, very good chance this could happen, Dick.
$18 to tie, 19 to win for the team of Lipke and Montplasir. Tim played the wood, took the 1 on the left. And a 10 box, big 10 box for Tim Lipke. Very important pins, the last 2.
9 to win, huh, Dick?
9 to win, 8 to tie, 9 to win.
Just doesn't want to punch out here. He could be either side of the head pin. That's where he wants to be, but not directly on it.
Well, he leaves a split.
Well, it's very makeable in terms of being a 9 or a 10 box.
8 to tie, 9 to win is all you need to know right now. He's got 7.
And a lot of space between the 3 and the 6 on the right side.
We are tied.
Tim is a seasoned pro. He's been here 1,000 times. But I know the butterflies are still probably in there. Just 1 pin to win it all. And he missed it.
It's a tie. We'll have a 2-frame runoff. 2 frames. And we will go. How will we go?
Well, I guess we're going to take a break
and we'll come back and discuss it.
This hasn't happened before on doubles.
Good idea. Let's take a break. We'll sort it out. We'll come back with the roll-off right after this. All right, here we go into overtime. A 2-frame overtime period. Cyndi Cawley will be first to bowl. The women will bowl 1 frame. The men will bowl 1 frame. Here's Cyndi Cawley on the head pin. Looking to break up a split. Leaves the 5, the 6, and the 10. A piece of wood in the middle. Rolling off.
So Cyndi will complete this frame, and then Bob Caliri will bowl the 2nd frame. Then we'll see Colleen first and then Tim. It's a 2-frame roll-off as we are tied at 317.
Well, she got 1. She did not pick up a spare. And that will be a 9.
All right, they'll do it 1 at a time. We're in uncharted territory, Dick.
And now it'll be Colleen. Colleen Montplasir. On the head pin, straight for Colleen.
Yeah, this may be a done deal before the men even get up here.
Well, now Bob Caliri needs to match it. Colleen Montplasir strike, a big shot for Colleen. Bob Caliri needs to mark. Here he goes. And he punches through a half Worcester. He needs to make it. He needs to make the spare right here. Almost made a great shot. Look at that.
Well, it is possible, even if he gets 19, if Tim doesn't get 5 pins.
It'll be a 10 box for Bob, 19. All right, now it's Tim Lipke.
Anything over 5 on the first shot, 5 or higher, and it's over.
On the head pin, and it is over. The team of Tim Lipke and Colleen Montplasir will win. We'll come back to meet our bowlers. We'll take a break as we have an overtime come to an end. Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues on WNDS TV right after this.
McMulkin Chevrolet, one of the Thompson family of dealerships, has given you the power of choice when it comes to your automotive needs for over 42 years. At McMulkin Chevrolet, you'll always be able to choose from hundreds of new and used vehicles, and our low overhead always means low prices. That's just a fact. Whether you're leasing or buying any new or pre-owned vehicle, our staff will make sure your experience is as good as it can be. McMulkin Chevrolet has the inventory and the experience to meet your needs. McMulkin Chevrolet, just off Route 3 in the New England Automotive Village in Nashua.
My Extreme Exotic Sectional, on looks alone, is incredible at just $17.99. It has not one, but 2 chaise recliners with massage, a built-in Sealy sleeper, telephone, modem jack, and even an electric cooler to keep your food and drink hot or cold. And it's portable with car adapter. This exotic sectional, only $17.99. Now that's extreme. Come on down.
All right, we're going right to the bonus ball contest since we're out of time, and Colleen Montplasir will roll a ball for the winners. The winning team of Colleen and Tim Lipke, and she has a 6. And we'll pull a card out of the bin here, and Dave Chakaz of Manchester picked 7. It's not a match. A consolation prize from N&R Trophies of Winchendon, Massachusetts, goes to our Diane Chakaz of Manchester, New Hampshire. And well, up the ladder we go. Another match next week.
Lipke and Cawley next week will take on Sean Baker and Tony Wellspring.
It was Cyndi Cawley and Bob Caliri losing 29-19 in the overtime to Colleen Montplasir and Tim Lipke. We'll see you next week for another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. For Mike Morin and our entire WNDS TV crew from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, I'm Dick Lutz. So long, everybody. We'll see you next time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes.